Hey, Ethan here, and in this episode we'll be looking at Batman the Telltale series, primarily for PlayStation 4. It's my favorite Telltale series of all time, and now it's time for some very brief development history.
Batman the Telltale series was developed by the now somewhat defunct Telltale Games, developers of games such as The Walking Dead, Wolf Among Us, and Minecraft Story Mode. It was revealed in early 2016, with the first episode being released on August 2nd, 2016 for the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, Xbox One, PS4, PC, and mobile devices. It was also later released on the Nintendo Switch, and that's as much information that I could find on the topic.
But before we start, I would like to mention that since this is a game where the player makes the decisions to determine the outcome of the story, I'll be basing it off of what I played. So if there's a situation that you didn't see or that I haven't talked about, that's why. But let's now start Batman the Telltale series.
The story of Batman the Telltale series is played through 5 episodes, usually over an hour per episode, but I'm going to be giving a summary of all the important events per episode so it doesn't drag on as much. The first episode is Realm of the Shadows. It starts out with members of an unknown group entering Gotham City Hall, with Lieutenant Gordon arriving soon after. Batman, which is voiced by Troy Baker, eventually arrives and takes out the group until he spots Catwoman, voiced by Laura Bailey, stealing a hard drive from a safe at the mayor's office, eventually leading them to the roof where they both fight while the police show up. Batman is then able to secure the drive, but Catwoman escapes. Sometime later, Bruce Wayne is back at Wayne Manor to host a campaign rally for District Attorney Harvey Dent, who is running for mayor of Gotham City. After talking to a few guests, they then talk to reporter Vicky Vale as she tries to ask a few questions, but Bruce doesn't allow it. Moments later, however, infamous crime boss Carmine Falcone comes into Wayne Manor and asks Bruce if he could buy the house. They then move into another room as Falcone goes to talk to Bruce about city politics and about his father, and says,
"I'm no longer interested in buying the house. The owner's a prick, and he's gonna get what's coming to him."
Bruce then heads down into the Batcave to check on local city information and starts to decrypt the hard drive as he looks at a map and talks to Alfred about Catwoman and his reputation as he gives Bruce a card to meet Oswald Cobblepot. Bruce then makes his way to Cobblepot Park, where he meets up with Oswald Cobblepot, a longtime friend, as they reminisce about their past and how Oswald says something about a revolution and to pick a side. Bruce then makes his way to a press conference about a new mental hospital with Harvey Dent. Bruce then goes on about the hospital while Alfred is trying to contact him. After a few minutes though, the press starts questioning him about a bank account in his name that is linked to the mob. This ultimately angers Bruce as he then leaves. Upon arrival home, Bruce then sees the police and Lieutenant Gordon taking things from his home. Gordon then gives him a search warrant that was signed by Mayor Hill. Bruce, being furious, says that he will get the DA involved. An officer then knocks over a photo of Bruce's parents as he then has a flashback, but all of a sudden, Vicky Vale arrives and tries to convince Bruce to have her help him, but Bruce refuses. Bruce then proceeds to meet up with Harvey Dent to ask him about the warrant. Harvey had no idea and wasn't informed about it at all. They then talk about Bruce distancing himself from Harvey, but Selena Kyle then shows up as both Selena and Bruce look at each other. Bruce and Harvey then talk about Selena and her job as she explains about something that someone stole from her. Harvey then leaves, however, and Bruce and Selena realize who their secret identities are. She then goes on about the drive that Bruce took from her and talks to Bruce about her client and asks him for help as she gives Bruce the location. Bruce then suits up in the Batsuit and heads towards the warehouse that Selena told him to go to. Upon entry, however, Batman discovers that there was a large attack and that Carmine Falcone was behind it. After a few minutes of investigating, Batman finds elements of an incendiary bullet and locates the shooter and proceeds to interrogate him. Gordon and the GCPD then show up as he asks Batman to tell him what happened and talks about a nerve chemical owned by Falcone. Back at the Batcave, Bruce and Alfred talk about Bruce's actions from the warehouse, but then proceed to look at the hard drive containing information on all of Falcone's crime businesses. The player is then given the option to either give the information to Gordon or Vicky Vale, but I chose Gordon as Bruce then proceeds to give the information to Gordon and heads towards the Skyline Club, which is a mob hangout spot. After Batman makes his way into the Skyline Club, he encounters Falcone face to face and asks him about the chemicals in his relationship with his family, as the press and police are nearby, and says,
Spill it, Falcone, while you still can. It's the Waynes. They're behind all this. What do you mean? You really want to take down crime? Well, the Waynes are the biggest gangsters in Gotham.
Oh my God! Take him out!
Fire and smoke could reportedly be seen from street level. Tonight, the Skyline Club, a high-rise mafia hangout in downtown Gotham, was the arena for a clash between the notorious Batman and alleged mob boss Carmine Falcone, who was brutally wounded in the attack. Oh! Though I'd say the crime boss getting his is well overdue, Falcone has slipped through the law's grasp for years, but after this dramatic arrest, and evidence released by the GCPD's Lieutenant Gordon, Falcone's going away for a long, long time. And speaking of newly uncovered criminal dealings, this brings me to the story everyone is talking about: the Wayne family. For generations, the big W on the Wayne Enterprises Tower was a reassuring sight. You knew that there was something pure at the heart of Gotham, that this city, for all its faults, was built by good people. But with Thomas and Martha's shining reputation called into question, we no longer have such assurances. And even worse, it seems the apple hasn't fallen far from the tree. Gotham's greatest son, Bruce Wayne, seen here in the company of gangsters, may be just as crooked as his parents. Wayne even refused to go on record when asked to defend his family's legacy. In a world where the Waynes, our golden family, are corrupt, who are we left with? Who can Gothamites look up to? The monster Batman? Only time will tell. Meanwhile, we'll keep digging for the truth, but the prominent feeling throughout Gotham is that the Waynes' time in the sun is ending.
Suit, the car, this entire cave.
Master Bruce?
Everything I built! I created all of this because I didn't want any more innocent people to die! If Falcone's telling the truth about my parents, then what the hell did we do this for?
Bruce,
What have you been hiding from me? Alfred!
And that is the end of episode 1. The second episode is called Children of Arkham. It starts out with a quick recap of the events from episode 1, and then shows Bruce in Crime Alley having a flashback to the night of his parents' death. Alfred then shows up with a newspaper on the situation. Bruce, being furious, asks Alfred about his view on what happened, and that he hid things from Bruce for many years. He also explains to Bruce that his father, Mayor Hill, and Falcone all worked with each other on the inner workings of the city. He also explains that he could not stand being around his father and was ready to leave until the Waynes got killed, but couldn't stand that Bruce was all alone and had no one to take care of him. Bruce then forgives Alfred and tries to remember exactly what happened that night. Upon remembering, Bruce finds out that they were assassinated and that Carmine Falcone would know why. Bruce then makes his way to the GCPD and meets up with Harvey Dent and Lieutenant Gordon before he goes in and questions Carmine Falcone, who is in the infirmary. Bruce then asks Falcone more about his family as he blames Falcone for their deaths, but all of a sudden Falcone is killed by Renee Montoya, which Bruce then disarms her. It then shows Bruce, Harvey, and Gordon trying to figure out what happened, but Harvey and Gordon are interrupted by Falcone's lawyers. Bruce, however, stays back and investigates using the power of the Batcomputer to find traces of an injection from a chemical. Montoya then wakes up and explains that she never wanted to actually kill Falcone, and that it felt like a voice was telling her to kill him. She also explains something about a revolution, like what Cobblepot said earlier, and explains it to Gordon and Harvey. Vicky Vale then shows up and tries to ask questions, but Bruce tries to ignore her. Back at the Batcave, Bruce and Alfred talk about what Falcone said to Bruce as they try to figure out the drugs compound and search for Oswald's location. Batman then goes back to the Skyline Club and finds Oswald inside, surrounded by goons, as Batman then picks them off. He then learns that Catwoman was working with Oswald and that he is coming for her. Bruce then meets up with Selina at the stacked deck and tries to warn her about Oswald, but all of a sudden are interrupted by Oswald's men and start a huge bar fight, and finds a phone belonging to a goon and manages to escape the police as Bruce uploads the contents of the phone to Alfred and learns about a private conversation with Mayor Hill and proceeds to see him as either Bruce or Batman. Batman then goes to City Hall and interrogates Mayor Hill, and as a result learns that the Penguin wants revenge for what Thomas Wayne did to his mother and for what Thomas did to other families in Gotham, which causes Batman to get extremely pissed off and then escapes. Back at the Batcave, Bruce then learns that the phone that he found from earlier contains blueprints of the old Monarch Theater, which is where a debate between Mayor Hill and Harvey Dent is being held, and learns that the Penguin's men have messed with the security cameras to look like nothing bad was happening, as Bruce then proceeds to go there. While in the Batmobile, Batman contacts Harvey Dent as he explains to him that Harvey should stay away from Bruce Wayne to protect his reputation, but Bruce continues to fund Harvey's campaign. When Batman arrives at the debate, he meets up with Lieutenant Gordon and talks to him about his reputation, as Catwoman then shows up and works with Batman. After getting inside, however, Batman and Catwoman see the Penguin kill the debate's moderator as they drag Vicky Vale out on stage. They then take out the remaining thugs as we see a message from a mysterious character talking about the children of Arkham. Vicky Vale is then forced to give Mayor Hill and Harvey Dent the drug from earlier. We then see a clip of Thomas Wayne talking to the Penguin's mom from many years ago. The GCPD then busts in as Mayor Hill then gets shot by Penguin. The player is then given the option to either save Harvey Dent or Catwoman, which is who I chose. Batman then looks at Harvey's face. And that is the end of episode 2. The third episode is called New World Order. It starts out at Gotham General Hospital, where Bruce Wayne and Selina Kyle go to see Mayor Harvey Dent after surgery. Selina, however, backs out last minute as Bruce goes in to talk to him for a few minutes, but is summoned by the bat signal. Batman then arrives at GCPD to talk to Lieutenant Gordon. Batman learns that Montoya went after the children of Arkham, while they learned that Mayor Dent has been captured. Bruce then talks to Lucius Fox about a drone, as Batman then chooses to go after Montoya and rescues her as he goes to check on Mayor Dent. When Batman arrives, he sees that Mayor Dent killed a member of the Children of Arkham with his bare hands, and also finds out that the Children of Arkham are listening in to all of the GCPD's communications, and explains the situation to Alfred and Lucius as he then proceeds to head to Wayne Tower. The next morning, Bruce Wayne goes to meet Lucius Fox at Wayne Tower, but sees one of the chairwomen in his office and explains that the board is trying to get Bruce Wayne removed as CEO, as Lucius keeps pressuring him to come down. Lucius then explains to Bruce that the Children of Arkham have broken into Wayne Tech's special back door, built by Lucius himself, which causes Bruce to tell Alfred to warn the GCPD. After the lab, however, Vagina comes back and explains to Bruce that he has lost his title of CEO and that Oswald Cobblepot will be taking over his position. This causes Bruce to become very furious and attacks Oswald as security drags Bruce out of the building. Outside the building, however, Bruce forces Lucius to stay at Wayne Tower to tell him what's going on inside. Back at the Batcave, Bruce and Alfred look at a map detailing what the Children of Arkham can listen in on. Bruce then decides to go to City Hall to warn Mayor Dent. Once Bruce arrives at City Hall, he spots Harvey talking on the phone. Bruce then warns him of the situation, but all of a sudden, Harvey starts acting differently by talking to himself in front of Bruce and asks Bruce to keep it a secret between the two of them. Bruce then spots a newspaper about an interview with the Children of Arkham's leader by Vicky Vale and proceeds to meet up up with her as Batman. Once Batman meets up with Vicky Vale, he intimidates her for the location and finally gives it to him. Batman then proceeds to go to the SkyTrain depot. Once Batman arrives at the SkyTrain depot, he discovers that the children of Arkham are planning to use the drug in a popular area of the city using modified train cars. After a few minutes, however, Batman spots Catwoman working with Lady Arkham, which then holds Catwoman hostage, causing Batman to fight Lady Arkham and get seriously injured. This then causes Catwoman to rescue him and take him back to her apartment where Bruce spends the night. The next morning at Selina's apartment, Harvey Dent then comes over and spots Bruce in the distance, causing him to become furious. As a result, Bruce and Selina fight Harvey as he then goes away. Bruce then goes to a press meeting about him stepping down as CEO and proceeds to not read the teleprompter and tells the public about his real opinions on the situation, which causes Regina and Oswald to become mad. Bruce then goes into the crowd as Vicky Vale starts talking to him and hits him with the drug as she reveals that she is Lady Arkham. This ultimately causes Bruce to beat up Oswald in public, and that is the end of episode 3. The 4th episode is called Guardian of Gotham. It starts out with Bruce Wayne waking up in Arkham Asylum as a result of what he did at the end of episode 3. Moments later, he then gets jumped by a few inmates and then meets a character named John Doe, who looks like the Joker. Bruce then goes around the room with a key that John gave him and talks to the other inmates. Bruce and John then watch a press conference with Mayor Dent, who is the one that put Bruce in Arkham Asylum. They then learn that Vicky Vale has disappeared. John then tells Bruce that he knows that Vicky is Lady Arkham and asks John to tell him what he knows as John suspects Bruce of something darker. John, however, explains that Vicky's real name was Victoria Arkham and that her original parents were killed. John then starts a riot which causes Bruce to try to stop it. Bruce is then released from Arkham and is picked up by Alfred as he spots John when walking out. While on their way home, Bruce and Alfred are stopped by Mayor Dent's new private military force. Bruce is then given the option to either pay them or have Alfred ram the barricade before the public starts trashing his car instead. Alfred then rams the barricade. Back at Wayne Manor, Bruce runs into Selina as they talk about Harvey Dent's behavior. Bruce and Alfred then go into the Batcave to make an antidote to the drug for Bruce. Batman then proceeds to head to the Vale's home. When Batman arrives at the Vale's home, he discovers that Vicky Vale killed both of her adopted parents and started using her father's company as a front for the drugs. He then finds another adopted child as he is then interrupted by the Penguin with a drone. Batman then throws a gadget but is ineffective, causing the kid to rescue him. The police then arrive as Batman explains to Gordon about the situation. When Batman gets back to the Batcave, he tries to figure out why the gadget didn't work. Lucius then figures out that the Penguin hacked in, causing it to malfunction. They then watch a press conference from Harvey explaining that Bruce Wayne has 24 hours to evacuate his home. Bruce then decides to meet up with them. Once he arrives, Bruce talks to Harvey about how his behavior has changed as he then blows up all of Lady Arkham's drugs from the distance. He is then taken into Crime Alley by Harvey's forces, but is then rescued by Lieutenant Gordon. On his way home, however, Batman must make the decision to either stop Penguin from messing with his tech or go to Wayne Manor to stop Harvey and have him get arrested, which is what I chose. But as a result, Wayne Tech gets completely compromised, and that is the end of episode 4. The 5th and final episode is City of Light. It starts out with the children of Arkham taking hostages, with one of them being Police Commissioner Grogan, which then gets shot a few minutes later. He then runs into the Penguin via a drone and is able to take it out, and then proceeds to work with Gordon as Bruce Wayne to take him out at Cobblepot Park. When Bruce gets back to the Batcave, he and Alfred look at what the Penguin changed about Bruce's information. They then find out that he was using company money to buy an island and to fund the Children of Arkham and erase information about some of Vicky Vale's story as a reporter, but the Batcomputer is able to figure it out. They then find out that Selina sold something from Wayne Tower as Bruce goes to confront her about it. He then calls Alfred and hurries back to Wayne Manor. Once Bruce gets back to Wayne Manor, he discovers that Lady Arkham has taken Alfred and left the room destroyed. Lucius Fox then shows up and helps Bruce pinpoint Alfred's location using the lens of the cowl, which traces it back to the Vale's house. Batman then finds a secret torture chamber in an extra room in the basement where Vicky Vale created Lady Arkham and that she was going to free everyone in Arkham Asylum. Batman then makes his way into Arkham Asylum and proceeds to chase after Lady Arkham. Batman is then able to break her mask but chases her for several underground tunnels, eventually leading him to a room where Alfred is being held captive. Vicky then finds them and suspects Batman, knowing who Alfred is. This then causes Batman to unmask himself and ends up getting his right ear destroyed, as the two then fight each other. Bruce then rescues Alfred and rubble falls on Vicky's veil and then kills her. A week then goes by as Bruce and Alfred talk about the good that they have done. The player then goes to a press conference by now acting Police Commissioner James Gordon as either Batman or Bruce Wayne. I chose Bruce as he talks about using his money for the good of the city, but moments later someone tries to kill him with a van. It then shows John in a bar, and that is the end of Batman the Telltale series. The gameplay of Batman the Telltale series has the player do either quick-time events, choose up to 4 different choices for the dialogue that determine the story, or walk around a certain area looking or scanning objects. Back at the main menu, there is Shadows mode, which was a remastered version of the game released in December 2019, but I don't currently own that. The extras contain codecs of all the characters, and you can view your choices per episode and play with other people as they use a web browser to help make decisions. Graphics wise, it looks pretty neat because of the comic book-like style. On consoles, it targets 30 FPS on all platforms, with Xbox 360 and PS3 targeting 720p, but I don't have any footage of that. The PS4 and Xbox One target 30 FPS at 1080p, and they both look the same. The PC version can run at 60 FPS, and I don't own the Nintendo Switch or mobile versions.
And that is Batman the Telltale series. My favorite Telltale game of all time and one of my favorite Batman games of all time, but it's still not as good as Arkham.